James, hey, congratulations on your new film, Get Fast, which is now available.
Hey, thank you very much.
These are the films, these are the guilty pleasure films that we love to watch on a Friday and Saturday night. I have to admit, it's non-stop action. But let's hear it from you. Is how did this film actually came about, being the sequel to Bulletproof?
Well, I think the preamble to your question is actually the start of my answer, so to speak. The very first film, I wanted to make something that was just fun for audiences. Fun in the way when you're watching 80s or 90s film, right? There wasn't a lot of, it didn't take a lot for the audience to just have some escapism and then hopefully, walk away maybe with a little bit of hope. So when Bulletproof was coming together, even in the editing room, and I saw that there was some meat on the bone with the film, I started developing Get Fast, and I wanted to push it further. I wanted to push the fun, the adventure, comedy, the characters, and when the first film was well received and still getting well received now, it's one of the most streamed films in 2024. Bulletproof. I just got the news on Paramount Plus over the weekend. It solidified my instinct to make this film, and so we started filming probably about 6-7 months after Bulletproof came out, and we were fortunate enough to get Lou Diamond Phillips, and we were off to the races.
Wow. It certainly tells us that you really love this character, the thief, which is, doesn't really have that name, but has that occupation in
Yes.
presence on screen. Tell us what the character that you love that you want to circle back for another film.
Well, that character, the starting point was really, inspired by Clint Eastwood and the spaghetti westerns. The man with no name was Sergio Leone, and he definitely, took that no-named cowboy into some of his other films as well. And I just thought that archetype was really fun. And then I also enjoyed, the John McClane from Die Hard, or the Harrison Ford from his action films, where there was a lightness, there was that movie star kind of flippantness to the character, which allowed the audience to invest in the film but not take it so seriously. So that's really where the seed of the character kind of came from. And then also too, I infused a lot of my personality in it. I like to think that I got a lot of my wit from my family, especially my dad. And so it's a joy to explore that character. There's definitely, if I'm lucky enough to make a third one, I would definitely like to explore a creative way to maybe reveal what his name is, but not really reveal what his name is. Make the audience work for it just a little bit still. But really, to be honest with you, it's the making of the movies itself, which is really the most fun.
Now, speaking of instilling your personality in the thief, you instilled your personality into this film because you made your directorial debut with Bulletproof, and this is
100%.
and this is your technically your sophomore, directing film.
It
Tell us
is.
about tell us about that journey, and is it was it difficult to direct yourself in films like this?
I didn't find it difficult to direct myself in these films. Other people outside of it may say, well, whether they're happy with my performance or not, they may have a counter opinion to what I'm saying. But I actually found it very easy, and I attribute it to the fact that I have an amazing team. Like I work right from the start at script stage with my editor and co-producer Zach Steele. He's a wonderful collaborator, and my producers Mark Petey and Johnny Bloy, and Peacemaker Filmworks, who's the amazing stunt team, world-class stunt team that wanted to come on and tell this story with me, and Raw Camera. And so all these people, I got a chance to really pre-direct a lot of the film at the script stage and in the pre-production stage, to the point where when we started filming, everyone knew what the shots were, everyone knew what the edit was. We were very, very clear on what the cutting and the transitions were, much like as if you were going to make an animation,
Hmm.
today. So that allowed me to focus on the actors on the day, allowed me to be relaxed enough where if we needed to improvise or adjust something on set, we could in terms of the directing or the camera setup, collaborate with my cinematographer in real time, and then also allow me to have time with myself, with moments going, does that nail it? Does it tell the story? Because it really does come down to that. I mean, this is supposed to be just a popcorn fun film. It's not promising to be anything more than a fun action movie that you can just turn your brain off and enjoy. And so there has to be a certain, in my opinion, anyways, a certain lightness to the performances. And as long as the story's coming across, I'm not precious about what I do. Now, that being said, I always joke with everybody if I was making There Will Be Blood, I would consider, whether or not it's smart for me to direct a film where you have to do like a transformation, like Daniel Plainview or something like that.
And that is also a terrific movie too. In
Oh my God, it's one of the best.
Absolutely. And now the challenging thing about doing these action films is actually the setups itself. First of all, I'm astonished with these car scenes. Tell
Oh,
tell us
yeah.
tell us about the difficulties, staging these action sequences with cars.
Well, I think that the first and foremost thing is you're always concerned about safety, because we're moving so quickly and it's all real and it's all practical. And I have a very small concerted team that it's really paramount, no pun intended, really paramount that all of the shots are pre-planned. And because there's so many shots to do, uh, we really only have so many takes in order to do that and then move on. But I would say that it really comes down to the edit, really knowing what the cutting is going to be in the flow so that you know when you've gotten the shot and it doesn't have to be really particular. But it also, again, it comes down to Peacemaker Filmworks. I mean, the technicians that they have, you can't pull off those sequences unless you have great camera operators, great precision drivers, great focus pullers. Um, Chris Wiseman and Brad McGregor and Michelle Yardley, Ty Flyer, as I like to call them. These people are like heavy hitters, and they've worked on big films like Ghostbusters and Sonic the Hedgehog and Sherlock Holmes with like Guy Ritchie. So I got a chance to collaborate with these people who are at an amazing technical skill level, and they listened to me. Lucky enough, which is always a tough thing when you're working with people who are better than you in a lot of ways. And that's how they were achieved, to be quite frank. And also the fun part of it too is that you get to take out Hot Wheels and you get to show everybody what you're going to do. And they, oh, okay, well, and then we're going to bring the arm car in. So you get the arm car, and you've got different drones and apparatus and cameras mounted to cars and me mounted to vehicles, and that's how it's done.
I'm actually amazed because you think by now we would go away from practicality with car stunts and just go CGI and all this kind of stuff. But we have practical is still the way to go with these types of stunts.
There's something to be said about. I agree with you. There's something to be said about respect for the audience and wanting the story to be told. Of course, if you can tell, if you're not going to dispel the illusion, dispel the magic trick of the film by doing CGI, because there's CGI in Get Fast, of course, and there's a particular style of CGI because it's supposed to feel like a film from way back then, right? But for me, I always like the practical stuff, and you can see the success of it. I mean, look at Tom Cruise.
Mm.
Audiences want to feel like they're actually doing it, and you know, what's so great about those types of films too, when you have a movie star like Tom Cruise, he's so accessible. The audience, whether they're aware of it or not, they really get a chance to feel like they are Ethan Hunt. And so the more that he can do to dispel the or create that illusion, the more that the audience can invest in it. And that's something that I'm always striving towards.
Now, speaking of illusion, how much stunts did you do yourself in a film like this?
I did quite a bit. I always like to call it physical acting because the stunts really come down to the big people who are really professional at it. I mean, across Bulletproof and Get Fast, I did a lot of the stunt driving. I did a lot of the stunt fighting. I mean, I'm really hit by the ice cream truck in the film. I would say that the only thing that I didn't do in Get Fast would have been the opening car driving because I needed to be behind the camera and that required some precision with the fireballs and everything. And then the motorcycle stuff was cheated with a fantastic stunt guy named Lars Grant. And I couldn't train long enough to get to his skill level to do what we needed to do, like jumping out of the back of the semi trailer and all of that. So that was doubled, but everything else is basically me.
James, how do you prepare for stunts like this? I mean, as an actor, you don't go through stunt training school for this. You have to train basis by basis, right?
Well, yeah, there are stunt schools for performers as well, but I was never formally trained as a stunt person. I've always been very active family. And, when I look back on it, it's a lot of luck. It's a lot of luck that led to these films getting made. And it actually started with a stunt coordinator, Thomas Potter, who's a co-producer as well. And he was the one that connected me with this team way back when, which started this journey that I'm on. And so learning a lot of stunt stuff with him, and really it just comes down to training, lots of training, and not so much, weightlifting or doing cardio in the sense that you want to aesthetically look good, at least for this role, but mostly so that you can get beaten up for long periods of time. In the first one, I didn't think clearly enough and I scheduled most of the stunt scenes in 1 week's time. So by the time that week was done, I could barely get out of bed because I was beaten up so much. So I learned a little bit more on the second one, but it's physically taxing. These stunt people or these action heroes that we've grown to love, all the big ones. I can't imagine some of the physical problems they deal with because of the sacrifice that you give. You know.
Do you feel coordinating all this stunt and action is like it's almost like dance choreography in its own way?
100%. It's like dance choreography, and there's a lot of mathematics to it. Like, I mean, you're obviously not talking, like arithmetic with people, but just the very nature of film and scenes itself, the beat, there's a musicality to it. And, there's certain things that you're doing that from a technical aspect that you can talk about. A lot of times it's instinctual and how you like a scene to unfold. But yeah, I would agree. I would say yes.
Action films like this, not only to have a hero like the thief, they also have to have terrific villains. Tell us about the cast because Bulletproof had a terrific villain with Vinny, but now this time around, you introduced Lou Diamond Phillips and others. I mean, it's villains is the core of an action movie, of course.
Oh, 100%. And Vinny Jones, I mean, what else can you say about Vinny Jones except he's one of the most badass guys on screen and in real life that you can ever meet. He's the real deal. He's a great guy. So, coming into the second film, you go, okay, well, who else is going to be just as dangerous? And do you want to have someone just as dangerous on the heels, or do you want to switch it up and have people be a little more devilish in different ways? And so I was really lucky to have the legendary Lou Diamond Phillips come in and play the cowboy because he came on and he was this charming, really evil yet likable villain. And so much so charming that you actually kind of, in some instances, kind of want to see him get away with it in the end and get on a horse and ride off into the sunset. And then, in addition, this is like a motley crew of villains. I got a chance to work with the wonderful Faye Wren, who plays Nushi. And what's great about an actress like her is that she's the nicest person you could ever meet. And then she shows up on set and she's so evil. And she makes the job really easy. And then, of course, my dear friend Lee Majdu, who's also in Sonic 3 that's opening next week. Phenomenal actor. I've known him since I was a kid. And so I got a chance to finally work with him, on this level when he plays the character Sly. And he's so much fun. I mean, so many things that he does in the film we came up with on the day. We were really loose with that character. So I would say, those three hallmarks. And of course, Alicia Marie Ahmed and James Hudson, who are the bumbling cops. They're kind of idiots, so to speak, in a lot of ways. They kind of round out that whole package.
I know it is wonderful, especially working with a friend like Lee. I'm actually going to speak to him in a couple of days myself for Sonic
Oh, you're
3. So
lucky. He's a great
so
guy, really great guy.
I know it was always fascinating to watch people's careers and where they're going, and especially for yourself. What's your enjoyment of being in this industry as an actor and also as a filmmaker now these days?
I just really enjoy the process of storytelling. It's hard for me to, because I was actually thinking about this the other day. It's funny you ask it. It's hard for me to really know what the stories are. Like, I'm not compelled to tell a specific story, but I am consistently inspired. I'm working on a movie right now, which I plan to shoot next year, another action film. It's quite different in tone. I never thought I would make a film that's as, serious and dark, right, as what I'm planning to do. But it just came to me and I felt compelled to paint it. As I look at it as painting. So I think, yeah, I enjoy the process of storytelling. I'm open to all different kinds of stories. And I think as long as I have an opportunity to do it and to do it with people who also enjoy telling stories, because that's important. There's a lot of people in the film industry who just don't like telling stories. They're the grumpy ones. You try to avoid them. I don't know why they're in the industry. you know, so that's where I'd like to go. I think I have a lot of energy and I have a great capacity uh, for communication with people. So I really do see myself, if I'm lucky enough, to be able to work on some larger studio films. Like if I could do a Transformers movie, let's do it. I'm in.
But you've done some notable stuff. You've done the television stuff that's very notable that a lot of fans would recognize.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, there was, Minority Report, The 100, Fringe. Fringe was really fun. That was a long time ago. Supernatural. I've been really blessed with my career so far. It's been pretty amazing.
Do you recall your first role and then what role that you actually said, you know what, I'm going to stick in this business?
Well, yeah, it was the first time I was really on a massive set. It was K-19 The Widowmaker. I was 16. And I got to watch Catherine Bigelow, the great Catherine Bigelow, direct, and I got to watch Harrison Ford act. And I'll just be honest with you, like they had an aura about them, and it was just such a, not to sound cheesy or corny, it was such a magical experience. And when you're 16 and you're watching Han Solo do his
Mm.
thing in the flesh, you kind of crap your pants a little bit. And I left that set incredibly cold because we were shooting in the middle of winter in Manitoba on a frozen lake. So my toes were frostbitten. But I knew I was going to do it for life right there and then.
That is so wonderful. And that is quite a bit of change since Widowmaker to now these days.
Yeah.
But you stuck around with so many action projects and other types of projects. So James, I've taken a lot of your time already, but tell us this. Do we still have more stories to tell for The Thief? Because I know you're waiting on to see if there's a third one, but in your head, are there more stories?
Oh, 100%. I've got two in the old noodle already. So two viable options, seeing how they develop and which is the strongest. And then, truth be told, I also have a spinoff with another character that's already occurred in the world where they can get their own time to shine. So I'd love to follow it through and see where this world goes.
That is excellent to hear, especially the fact that you're going to create a franchise empire out of these characters.
If I'm lucky enough, hey, I'm glad you're eager for it because it gives me the inspiration to push through for it.
Well, I'm eager, and I'm also eager to speak to you again about this about the next project. So, James, thank you very much for carrying this conversation with us. Hopefully, we get to do this again. We really appreciate it.
I'd love to. Time. Definitely. Take care.